What happens if you pick the wrong co-founder? What happens if you are the wrong co-founder? Welcome back to Listen to Leo. In today's video, I wanted to talk about the importance of co-founder selection. When I started my first startup, I saw everybody talking about how you needed to have a co-founder in order to be successful. So I picked the first co-founder I found. We kind of agreed on ideas, and I really like the idea of having someone with a different viewpoint. And so I found someone on the other side of the world who was quite a bit younger than me. Good bit of variation. Unfortunately, I had no idea what I was doing. He didn't really have any idea what he was doing. We didn't communicate well. We couldn't get on the same page. Um, and ultimately, it wasn't a good fit. And that startup dissolved. I saw a stat recently that says 65% of startups that fail do so because of issues between their co-founders. And this is not surprising. When it comes to leadership in a startup, it's really important to have alignment because it's hard. It is hard to get something new started. And if everybody involved isn't on the same page, it's probably not going to work. I also had no idea how to split up the idea of equity. So I was like, hey, I've got a co-founder, 50-50, right? It's not how any of it works. You set up vesting, right? No, didn't do that. You're both full-time on it? No, he had a full-time job. I was full-time. See, I did not do this well, did I? And so why am I telling you all of this? Well, mostly because I think you should know it. And if you're looking at getting a co-founder, I think it is important to make sure that you have the right co-founder. I think it's important to determine an equitable split of the company that makes sense based on whose livelihood is at stake and whose isn't, how much work they're putting in. I think it's more complicated than I initially wanted to believe. Starting off, it's really easy to just look at the best possible outcome and say, yeah, let's shoot for that. But that's not usually what happens. And so you need to be realistic in the possible outcomes. And this is actually the idea behind my latest project. So I have been working on buildingpublic.coach, and I'm planning on continuing that. But I'm also forking it into something that I think is pretty interesting, and it relates to this problem between co founders. So, when you're starting out, especially, it's great to have somebody in your corner who kind of has an idea of what they're doing and can help you along the process. But if you're not 100% sure on this person, it's really tough to give them a chunk of your company and trust that everything is going to work out all right. And so I said, wait a minute, what if we actually just have an AI co founder, someone that we can bounce ideas off of, someone that can give us insights that maybe we wouldn't recognize, and somebody that only costs us $25 a month? This makes sense to me from a revenue standpoint, especially because, you know, if you're only splitting, if you're splitting your revenue 50-50 at $50 MRR, that doesn't seem too bad. But at $500 MRR, okay, now we're starting to talk a little more serious money. Whereas with an AI co-founder, if you can get it for $25 a month, sure, at $50 MRR, that's 50% of your revenue there. That sounds pretty high. But at $500 MRR, it's 5%. And it's just going to drop from there. So that's kind of the central basis for this idea. I think it's a good way to mitigate risk, still give indie hackers a way to have access to a co founder, and make it accessible to people without a high level of risk. I also have been working on the idea of teaching these AI systems to learn based off of content you provide. And so, one of the things that I'm integrating into this is the ability to actually teach your co founder things. So, let's say you found a great blog on creating a killer product. Well, sure, you can remember it and integrate all of that into everything you're doing, but you can also give it the AI and say, hey, read this, learn from it. And then it can draw on that information down the line when it's trying to help you reason about various things you need. I'm also looking at integrating things like SEO analysis. What if you just point it at your website and say, hey, can you analyze the SEO on this page and let me know how well it's going to perform? These aren't incredibly difficult things, but they take time to learn. And it's much faster if you have an AI that can just do a lot of this stuff. Like, it's stuff that as a founder, you know you need to understand, but there's a million things you need to understand, and it's really hard to prioritize that. So the goal here is to not only give you like a co-founder, but someone that you can actually outsource some of that work to and build out capabilities over time. And so really excited to see how this goes. I am opening up early access within the next week. I'll be onboarding the initial users. So if you see this, there might be a wait list, or it might be open enrollment where you can sign up, just try it out. So give it a try. Let me know what you think. And drop a note in the comments if there's anything that you wish your AI co-founder would be able to do. And I'll see if I can get it added. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.